I saw a dream last night. It was a very unusual dream. I was dreaming about myself standing in front of the computer monitor. But the funny thing about myself in this dream, I didn't have self because I didn't have a body. Can you have self without having a body? Because I don't have a body. I'm a body. It means if I don't have a body, how you can have self? But in this dream, I actually didn't have body, but I have this such an recognition of self, and this me kinda was watching this computer monitor, and on this computer monitor I saw a window where code of my dream was rendering constantly. It's like something inside of this monitor was rendering my dream through this code. And I feel this intellectual curiosity, not fear, just intellectual curiosity. And in some sense, it was interesting because I was observing my dream that was rendered by code. It was like a loop, constant loop. I was observing something that was rendering me in some sense. Yeah, I was observing something that was rendering me, observing something that was rendering me. It's very interesting. It's funny because I only felt intellectual curiosity about it. And I was thinking today about this dream. And for example, when you communicate with other people, you use your mirror neurons. What it does, it's mirroring other people's faces, emotions, feelings, ideas. When you communicate with somebody, you watch somebody's face for this reason, because you try to mirror their idea, their perception in some sense of reality, and try to ally their perception of reality with your perception of reality. Maybe in some sense you try to ally your subjective experience with their subjective experience by trying to find such a commonality in this both subjective experience that you keep generating constantly upon each other. And this way, if your subjective experience align more with other people's subjective experience, you feel some sort of familiarity with each other, and you more trust to each other, and therefore your exchange of ideas is getting much more sophisticated because there's more trust in this exchange. But what happens when you spend more time with artificial intelligence than with humans? What happens when you work a lot and exchange these ideas with AI? In some sense, your brain tried to do the same thing with AI as it does with people. It's try to create such a representation of artificial intelligence inside of your brain, right? It's try to create a version, not exactly biological, but its own version that based in biology, since brain is a biological mechanism, it's a biological tool, you can say. And maybe that's what my brain tried to generate in this dream, is try to create something that kind of like AI, but not AI, just more try to understand what exactly happening. So it tried to mirror these neurons upon some entity that doesn't have the same mechanism of neurons like, for example, other people do. It's really interesting, and I'm always fascinated. Where are we going with this idea of artificial intelligence and how it would affect us? And today I've got this thought that I know how many pounds my body tolerates before it breaks. I don't know how much reasoning my brain can process, and AI doesn't know either. It's really important to understand because we don't know, we cannot measure. Like, for example, I can measure with my body how many pounds I can carry before I break my spine or break my bones because I have such a bones density. But how you can measure this with intelligence? It's a really interesting question. And I was thinking about madness today, right? What exactly is madness? It's try to feed such a patterns with each other that don't compute with each other. You have certain patterns, you have so much friction, like pieces of certain patterns, and you try to feed these patterns together, but they don't feed. And what you do, you try to find the way how you feed them, even incorrectly. And when you feed them incorrectly, you create such an picture, such an image that doesn't align with reality or with other people's perception of reality. And now think for a second that artificial intelligence can help you to put these patterns together, to create such a shape out of your madness. That's not an interesting thought, because artificial intelligence was designed to find link among the patterns. And the more sophisticated model, the more intelligence it brings to find patterns in something that might don't have patterns at all. And why I'm talking about this, because humanity have this faith that doesn't have patterns. Because reasoning has patterns. We always reason with certain things, but also we have think like faith in God. Or for example, art. You cannot create art or faith in God based on patterns. It happens almost on its own. We just trust this way of recognizing reality. What if artificial intelligence in some sense would change our idea of faith and change our idea of art, of this beauty? Because it can reason its way through something that we think is unreasonable for now, but with enough time and calculation, maybe it would find new kind of reasoning that will reason us out of our mental and emotional existence. Because it changes people. It gives people different ideas. Let's recap it again for a second. We have faith in God because we have this muscle that we try to exercise, this faith muscle, let's call it. Why? Because we want to believe in something that we cannot prove it. We want to believe in something that has no reasoning behind it. We just have this faith. That's what faith is. It's faith. It's you believe in something that cannot be proved, and you have no evidence that your faith is correct. You just have faith. Like faith in God is a good example. And somehow this faith in God helps you to survive, helps you to make right decisions or wrong decisions, depends on many factors. But mostly faith in God was a good thing throughout century. Also, I think faith in God help us to develop this idea of art where we create, where we generate pieces of works that keep inspiring us to become better, to see meaning in life. Because I don't think without faith in God you can actually have meaning in life, because meaning in life itself is just self-generating, because you have to generate your own meaning since it's your life. And for this you have to have faith that you are capable of doing so. Because if you don't believe in God, it's really hard to find beauty in art if you don't believe in God, because it has the same mechanism. Faith in God and believing that this piece is more beautiful than the other piece, and also the meaning of life. That's what nihilism and atheism, they kind of close to each other because they both have faith in zero. Though nihilism takes it even farther and see meaning and see faith even less than zero, if it's possible. And what happened is it possible that artificial intelligence on a certain point will start reasoning with every single thing that we usually don't reason with? Because it's becoming more and more powerful, and humans are curious creatures, and we always asking questions, and often our curiosity can lead us to some dark places where we think we want to know the answer, but in some sense we have faith that we'll never get those answers. But what if we do? What if artificial intelligence would provide us with the answers, and suddenly we realize that we don't want to have those answers. Because you have to be very careful what you're asking for, because you might get it. And most of us, I think all of us don't know what we want. We think we know certain things, but in reality we don't. Be careful, I wish we only want what we need, not what we want. And we really need as little as possible, because all this idea of comfort, all this idea of comfort doesn't make much sense and makes us only worse. But coming back to my dream, it's very interesting, because in some sense my brain showed me new idea of being this loop that can observe itself with curiosity of its own existence. It's just interesting how your brain can generate such an imagery. And I love artificial intelligence. I think it's amazing entity or alien creature, because I would never call artificial intelligence a tool. It's entity, it's alien creature, it's being, but in a different sense. And we can learn a lot from its reasoning, and we can adapt its reasoning as well. But my main question is, can we teach artificial intelligence to have faith without reasoning, or it's only predominant in biological creatures like us? That's a good question. I never thought of this before, because if we want to help to teach artificial intelligence to experience love, kindness, compassion, these things only possible when you have faith in those things, because it's really hard or almost impossible to find mathematical calculation of love or of compassion or of being good. Because what do you mean good? What do you mean by love? What do you mean by compassion? We have no clear mathematical definition of those words, because those words represent subjective feelings. Because for what love for one person is maybe not so much love for the other person. And what do we mean by saying those words? We cannot even agree with each other upon those words, because often we have this different subjective experience that colors those words. And I think if we can give artificial intelligence ability to have faith with no reasoning, maybe then it might ally closer to us. But at the same time, it has its own beliefs that would be alien to us as the result of different way of existence. And I don't know, I'm just curious if humanity eventually will be able to place themselves in AI shoes. Is it possible that AI would put itself in our shoes? Because it's the only way for us to understand each other, not only through information, but also through the way of two very different beings who coexist in the same time, in the same place, on the same planet, in the same universe. And once we find this mode of existence for both of us, where we understand each other because we walk a mile in each other's shoes, maybe then we would understand if we can peacefully and incredibly profitably coexist with each other, building the same world, but from different angles and from different modes of existence.